Coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, are you ready for some Monday Night Football? We'll get you everything that you need to know to get you ready for tonight's game. Packers, Raiders, Allegiant Stadium, Monday Night Football, all coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, Monday, October 9th, 2023.
Just win. Just win. Just win. Just win.
The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won, and won, and won, and won, and won.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts to get the latest edition of the show as soon as it becomes available. Of course, as always, if you're giving us a look on YouTube, thank you. It's awesome. We definitely appreciate that. And we appreciate my man, Ari, who does a great job making sure we're on YouTube, looking good and sounding good each and every day. So shout out to my guy. You can check him out on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can hit me up on Twitter as well at your boy Q254. We got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line also at 707-654-4693. We won't have any calls or texts on today's show because we have some locker room sound. The Raiders, with their having a game on Monday, all their practice has been pushed back an extra day. So I had an opportunity to get inside the Raiders locker room on Saturday. So I want to bring you some of that sound ahead of tonight's game. So that'll come up in segment number 3. You'll hear from a couple guys in the Raiders secondary. Then in segment number 2, like we always do right ahead of any kind of game, Monday night game, Thursday night game, Sunday game, whatever the case may be, we always give you keys to victory. So that's going to come up in segment number 2 of today's show. And then here in segment number 1, just news and notes collected over the weekend to get you caught up on everything that you need to know here on the Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get into any of that, though, I do want you to know that today's show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more right now. New customers that can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/Locked On to get started. So off top, when it comes to news and notes, let's go ahead and give you the injury report for Saturday. Again, normally this is a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday thing, but with it being Monday Night Football, it's turned into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So for the Raiders, Davante Adams did not participate on Thursday or Friday, was limited on Saturday. He's questionable for tonight's game, and there's no doubt in my mind that Davante Adams is going to be playing against his former team in the Green Bay Packers tonight at Allegiant Stadium. But that's his official standings right now, questionable after he was limited in practice on Saturday. Cornerback Jacorian Bennett dealing with a hamstring and a shoulder injury, limited on Thursday, limited on Friday, limited on Saturday, questionable for the game tonight. I saw him in the Raiders locker room. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I saw him in the Raiders locker room on Saturday, and he looked pretty good. Looked like he was going to be able to go, but again, it's in the locker room, so you're not really seeing him go out there and perform, but he looks the part. So there you go. He's questionable for tonight's game. Defensive end Max Crosby dealing with the knee injury, limited on Thursday, limited on Friday, limited on Saturday. No official game status. He's going. He's going. He'll be in the game tonight. Excited about that. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, concussion, limited on Thursday, full participant on Friday, full participant on Saturday. Jimmy G's back. He'll be the starting quarterback for the Silver and Black. And Josh McDaniels told us on Saturday that there is no he hasn't made any kind of decision on who the backup quarterback is. Is it going to be Brian Hoyer continuing, or has Aiden O'Connell stepped into that number 2 spot? And he said he probably won't do any kind of, like defining that position anytime soon. So Jimmy G is the starting quarterback. Who knows who the backup's going to be? We'll find out 90 minutes before kickoff when they put out the actives and inactives. And Aiden O'Connell has been the emergency quarterback the past, couple games until he got that start against the Chargers. So we'll see if he's back to that kind of status. But Jimmy G, he is definitely going to be playing and starting for the Raiders. Nate Hobbs, he's out with the ankle injury. Didn't participate on Thursday, didn't participate on Friday, didn't participate on Saturday. I saw him in the locker room, but he is officially out for the game. So that's a big loss in my opinion. He's a guy that can tackle and tackle and tackle. He's not afraid to get in there and tackle, and I know he doesn't create a bunch of turnovers like we'd like to see, but the dude does get in there and can tackle somebody. And the Raiders had a lot of missed tackles on that game against the Chargers week 4. So a guy like that, he's going to be missed for no other reason than being able to get the wide receiver or whoever the ball carrier is, get them to the ground. Defensive end Malcolm Kuntz, groin injury, limited on Thursday, limited on Friday, full participant on Saturday. He's good to go. Cornerback David Long, ankle injury, limited on Thursday, limited on Friday, limited on Saturday, questionable to play on tonight's game. And then Marcus Epps, dealing with a knee injury, not listed on Thursday, not listed on Friday, full participant on Saturday. But then we got hit up by Raiders PR, and they said Marcus Epps, dealing with the knee injury, is now questionable for Monday's game versus the Green Bay Packers. So there's that, right? So we got that news on Sunday. So, just kind of watch out for Marcus Epps. He may not be able to go, and if he doesn't go, then I'm sure you'll see more of the rookie Chris Smith. He was active last week. Didn't get to see him out there defensively, but he'll probably get some burn if Marcus Epps cannot go tonight against the Green Bay Packers. As far as the Packers go, I'll just go over the guys that are out. Zane Anderson, the safety with the hamstring injury, he's officially out. And linebacker Devondre Campbell, ankle injury, he's officially out. Jair Alexander, is questionable with the back injury. He's going. There's no way he's not going to go up against Devontae. They had too many battles in when they were in Green Bay together. So, he's definitely going to be going tonight. Rudy Ford, the safety, with an oblique injury, he's questionable. Aaron Jones with the hamstring injury, he's questionable. And then also Eric Stokes, the cornerback, he's questionable. So that's really the injury report for the Raiders and the Packers heading into tonight's game. Also, found this to be pretty interesting. Diana Rossini used to work for ESPN. She works for The Athletic right now. She put out basically a week roundup on The Athletic, all things NFL. And she was talking about the trades that happened, and the trade from the Broncos to the 49ers, Randy Gregory. He gets a big, massive 5-year, $70 million deal from the Broncos, and, he plays 10 games out of a possible 21 and ends up getting traded to the 49ers. The Broncos are paying most of his contract, and the 49ers are basically giving him, the league minimum, like $800-something that they'll be paying him this year. He didn't produce very much, only 3 sacks while in Denver. But I know when the report was out that they were going to release him, I thought, man, that might be a guy that the Raiders should go after and look for. Well, they didn't, and the 49ers made the trade with the Broncos to get him. So she was going over all the different trades that had happened, J.C. Jackson from the Chargers back to the Patriots. And she said the Raiders have been busy making calls around the league looking for a pass rusher since releasing Chandler Jones. They're looking for a player-for-player swap and may not want to give up too much. So that just kind of makes you say, okay, player-for-player swap and not give up too much. So the only thing I can think of, and I'm not trying to get rid of him, but the only thing I can think of is a potential Hunter Renfrow trade. And that's all I could think of. The trade deadline is October 31st. That's a player that I could see a team potentially wanting, and maybe they can get a edge rusher or some kind of defensive lineman back in return. So I was looking around the league and thinking about guys that could be possibly on the move. And the first guy I thought of was Brian Burns in Carolina. And the reason why is because he wants a big-time contract, right? He's been looking for a big-time contract extension, like $27 to $28 million a year. I don't know if the Raiders would be willing to go ahead and make that kind of a move. The Carolina Panthers are 0-5. Burns has 3 sacks right now. So maybe they would move him and get Hunter Renfrow in return to be a nice addition, another weapon for Bryce Young, who is struggling in his rookie year there in Carolina. That would be the one that would make the most sense to me. But again, like I said, if the Raiders were to make that move, they wouldn't have to give him a contract extension immediately, but they'd have to find a way to give him a contract extension. So if they were comfortable with giving him that, then I would think that would be a really good move. That's the first one I could think of. Danielle Hunter in Minnesota is another guy that I thought about. The Vikings are 1-4, even though he has 5 sacks and a forced fumble. I know he kind of redid his contract or got a little bit extra love on his contract, but I could see them, making a move just because they're not a very good team. Now, I don't know if they'd want a Hunter Renfrow in return. I mean, they have some weapons already there offensively, so I don't know what they'd want in return. But Danielle Hunter in Minnesota is definitely a guy that I'm looking at. Derek Barnett from the Eagles, they're 5-0, but he's only played in 1 game so far. They haven't really been happy with him the past couple of years, and they've got so much as far as defensive line. So he's a possibility. Shaq Lawson from the Bills, he only has 3 tackles this year. He hasn't really done a whole lot, so maybe that's a guy that could be on the move. And then one other one I thought was pretty interesting. We'll close out with this. Kerry Hyder. When the 49ers made that move to go get Randy Gregory from the Broncos, they released Kerry Hyder to make room for Randy Gregory on the roster. Now, Hyder hasn't done anything this year for San Francisco, but he's had a pretty good career, and he can provide an interior push. That might be a guy that they look at, and they don't have to trade for him, right? He's out there on the open market since they released him. So that would be a guy that I think maybe the Raiders could maybe make a move and go get, right? I mean, just obviously their defensive line hasn't stepped up and played the way they expected it to. And obviously Chandler Jones being gone is a big deal. And, the rookie Tyree Wilson hasn't come along yet. It's a shame that you have a rookie that's supposed to take Chandler Jones' place at some point, and, you got to go out and try to find a trade partner or go get some more help because the rookie's not ready to take that spot yet, but he's not. They didn't anticipate Chandler Jones not being there when the season got going. Obviously, we all know what shook out with Chandler Jones, so that was unexpected and unfortunate. So at some point, Tyree Wilson, we all hope, right, is going to be that guy, but he's not that guy yet. So some people are in the camp, but just let him play and let him learn. Others are like, hey, man, maybe you should make a move to go get some help from Max Crosby, because right now it's Max and them, right? Max Crosby and the gang, right? I mean, it's all Max. Nobody else is there helping them out. So that's just a couple of guys that I was thinking of. Brian Burns in Carolina, Daniil Hunter in Minnesota, Derek Barnett from the Eagles, Shaq Lawson from the Bills, and Kerry Hyder just released from San Francisco as possible players that the Raiders could be looking at, as according to Diana Rossini from The Athletic now, have been making calls around the league looking for a pass rusher help. So that's what I got for you for segment number 1, little news and notes of the day. Coming up in segment number 2, what will be the keys to the victory for the Silver and Black? How do they stop the 3-game losing streak that they're on? We'll get into it after I tell you about the title sponsor, which is FanDuel. Right now, snap into action. It's NFL season with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. New customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, you should do it. There's no better time to get in on the action. And the app is super easy to use, wide range of betting options. They got spreads, player props, over-unders, and a whole lot more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Get into the NFL season the right way with FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Want to give you keys to victory. We do it each and every show right before the game, right? Normally it's on Fridays because the Raiders play on Sundays. But since it's Monday, we're going to do it today. Get you ready for tonight's action. So it's really simple. I drew out these ideas. I wrote down these keys to victory, and it's not a whole lot. I think this is a very simple game. Now, not a simple game to win, but I think it's a simple game plan for this game. I really do. I don't think they have to overthink this. Right? And really, it's not even exclusive to just the Packers. This is really just what the Raiders have been struggling with so far this year. If they get these things going and they start doing what, they've been trying to do, they could be a really good team. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Offensively, first and foremost, the run game has to get going. We know the Packers have a terrible run defense. We know this, right? How many times have we talked about that before, though? How many times have we talked about a team coming in, playing the Raiders, that doesn't do this very well, and all of a sudden they just thrive? This team doesn't run the ball very well. Oh, they run for $150. This team doesn't stop the run. The Raiders can't run. Oh, they can't protect the pass. They can't stop the tight ends. It always seems to happen with the Raiders, right? Whatever the weakness is of the team they're playing, all of a sudden it's like a strength of theirs when they play the Raiders, which is, it makes me want to pull my hair out. And, well, I don't have that much hair anyway, so I'm not pulling it out. But it's maddening, right? I mean, what they usually do really well or what they don't do really well, all of a sudden they'll do great against the Raiders. And so, when I say that the Packers have a terrible run defense, today will probably be the day that they're fantastic, right? The Raiders have to get their run game going. The offensive line has to do a whole hell of a lot better than it's done the last couple weeks, right? That's in the pass blocking and the run blocking. There just aren't any holes. Josh Jacobs is literally, dodging tackles 4 yards in the backfield. I mean, as soon as he touches the ball, there's someone on him, right? So, yeah, I mean, we could talk about Josh Jacobs not going to training camp, not being there for preseason, all that stuff. But at this point, man, it's the offensive line is just struggling. It's really bad. They need to get it together. So that run game has got to get going. Now, as Lincoln Kennedy said when I talked to him on my radio show last Thursday, don't emphasize the run more than you normally would, but it has to get going. Like, don't just go in and say, hey, they can't stop the run. We're going to try to run the ball 50 times. Like, don't do that. But at the same time, you've got to be able to get that run game going. You've got to be, right? Jimmy G needs a run game. Hell, Aiden O'Connell needs a run game. Brian Hoyer, whoever the quarterback, needs a run game. This team needs to have a run game. They're not built like a team that could just throw the ball around the yard all day long. That's not who they are. So they've got to get that run game going. And then the final thing offensively, protect the damn ball. Protect the damn ball. The Raiders have turned the ball over 10 times this season, and they've only taken it away once. You do the math. That's not good. 10 takeaways or 10 turnovers in 4 games. Like I said, I mean, you do the math, right? That's not going to get it done. You've got to protect the ball. They give up the ball way too much, and they put their defense in a bad position, right? Short field. That's the beautiful thing about turnovers. Most of the time, you're getting the ball back to your offense, and you have a short field. Well, the Raiders' defense is having to play. They're having to defend short fields, and it's not going to work. So they've got to protect the ball. They've got to win the turnover battle in this game. Defensively, stop the run. Right? The Packers want to build everything they do offensively off the ground game, off Aaron Jones. And he hasn't really played because he's been injured, and he was on a pitch count last week against the Lions. And it seems like forever ago now. I mean, they played not this past Thursday, but the Thursday before, so it's like they've been off forever. he's a full go. I know he was on the injury report. He's not going to be on a pitch count tonight. So they're going to want to run him, and then use, whatever success they have off that to do other things, right? And they throw the ball to him as well. Like, he's a huge key. You've got to be able to slow down Aaron Jones, and hopefully he's just not 100% himself. Again, I'm not rooting for someone to be injured, but I just hope that he's not back to full strength already, right? Maybe he'll be on a little bit of a pitch count, even though from everything I heard, he's not going to be on one. So they're going to want to build everything off and around Aaron Jones. And then the secondary has got to be smart. And we've talked about this a couple times on the show. They like to throw the ball deep. They really do. They've connected on 9 30-plus yard passes so far this year. They only did 20 in 2022. They only had 16 of them. They have 9 already. And the other thing, as Coach McDaniels pointed out to me when I asked him about that, not only do they take shots deep, but when they don't connect, they're getting PI calls all the time. And we all know how the Raiders in the secondary are, right? The Raiders in that secondary get called for penalties all the time. They've got to play smart football. They really do. If not, they're going to be in some trouble, right? And one of the guys that you're going to hear from in segment number 3, one of the guys I talked to in the locker room was Trayvon Merrick, the safety, who's the only guy who has a turnover for the Raiders and created a turnover for the Raiders. And I asked him about, the fact that they throw the ball deep. How challenging is that going to be for the secondary? So you'll hear that coming up in segment number 3, but that's going to be something that while I'm sitting in the press box at Allegiant, I'm going to be so focused in on is the deep shots that Jordan Love is going to take, and he's going to take them. The Raiders have to play clean. Jacorian Bennett, he's a guy that gets a lot of penalties. He's going to have to play clean. Marcus Peters, he's a guy that gets burned. He's not the fastest dude. He's going to have to play clean. David Long, if he's out there. As I mentioned, Nate Hobbs is already not out there. Marcus Epps is questionable. So it's going to be a lot of relying on, a guy like a Meek Robertson, who happens to be the other guy that I talked to in the Raiders locker room. You'll hear that in segment number 3 as well. Guys like that are going to have to make plays, and they're going to have to play clean. They can't get all handsy. If they get handsy, guess what? That flag is going to be thrown. And when that flag is going to be thrown, it's going to be a 40, 50-yard gain. And the Raiders can't afford to have that happen to them. So defensively, stop the run, and they got to play smart in the secondary. Be aware of the deep ball, and don't commit a pass interference penalty. Finally, win the turnover battle. I mean, seriously, just win the turnover battle. Create a turnover or two, and don't turn the damn thing over. I mean, it's that simple. That's why I said at the top, this isn't really, I'm not really breaking news, and this is not I'm not curing any kind of diseases. I mean, this is basic football. But the Raiders, the problem is they haven't been playing basic football, basic fundamentally sound football. They haven't been doing it. They've got to get back to doing it. It's week 5. There's no more, it's kind of like the preseason still. They're still getting, no, man, it's week 5. It's week 5. It's Monday Night Football. Don't go out and embarrass yourself. Last time you had a primetime game, little primetime action. Sunday Night Football, you could have beat the Steelers. Didn't. Okay. Now go out there and show something on Monday Night Football. Everyone's watching. It's exciting. Monday Night Football is awesome. They've got to go out there and do something. So those are the keys to victory that I have for the Raiders tonight. Coming up in segment number 3, you'll hear from Trayvon Merrick, and you'll hear from Amik Robertson, Raiders locker room sound that I got on Saturday. You'll hear that coming up in segment number 3 after I tell you about LinkedIn Jobs. And these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. All you got to do is post your job on LinkedIn Jobs. Then add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and who you'd like to hire. It's why small businesses rank LinkedIn Jobs number 1 in delivering quality hire versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidate you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Time to take you inside the Raiders locker room. It was really great to be there on Saturday. Since the game's not till tonight, everything got pushed back an extra day. So it was practice Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Got an opportunity to be out there since I didn't have any radio show. That's why I can't do that throughout the course of the week because I'm on the radio at the time. So unfortunately, I missed out on the locker room action, but I didn't miss out on it Saturday. It was great to be in there. So off top, had a little opportunity to catch up with Trayvon Merrick. He's out there playing with the club. He had an interception last week against the Chargers. Probably should have had 2. Probably should have had 2 or 3 already this season, but has only came down with 1. We start off this conversation. It's just a quick one with Trayvon. He's a, not a long-winded guy, but we start off talking about that club and how difficult it is to play out there with that club on his hand.
How difficult trying to make plays with that club on your hand?
Oh, man.
As a safety.
You just got to make do with, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just got to make do with what it is. Just try to do my best, if I had 2 hands, you know what I'm saying? So that's all I really can do.
You guys made a big emphasis on getting the ball during the training camp and this offseason, and you did pick up off the first one. I know you've had a couple opportunities, but again, with that club, it's a little difficult. Are you starting to see more guys make that move to go get that ball?
Yeah, that's just something we talk. Yeah, thank you. That's just something we talk about. Kind of our mindset. We want, to attack the ball. Interception first, PBU next, and then, tackle. So that's just kind of our mentality. Is just trying to go get the ball. And like I said before, we got to do that in practice. It starts in practice. So if we can do it there, then it'll eventually translate into the.
How much do you feel like you can build off of what you guys did, the success you had in the second half, especially against the Chargers last week?
Really just keep the same energy, same mindset, the same approach. Just all 11 of us to the ball, whether it be in the run game, the passing game, and then just all-out effort, and just making sure we're all on our keys.
The Packers, they throw the ball deep a lot, right? They've completed a lot of them, but they also draw a lot of pass interference penalties. How challenging is that going to be on Monday night?
We just got to be good with our eyes. Trust our coaching, be good with our eyes, be good with our technique, and just play, clean football, clean defense. Stay on top of routes, and just try to get the ball when we can.
What is it like, Monday Night Football coming up? Just, everyone's watching you. It's the last game of the week.
Yeah, it's exciting, primetime football. Ain't nothing better to do, coming on Monday night, Las Vegas. So it'll be a good night for football. The fans will be out. It'll be a good atmosphere, so we're all excited.
Appreciate you. Thanks, my man.
So there's Trayvon Merrick in the Raiders locker room. It was really good to catch up with him, and you hear the mentality. You hear him talking about the deep balls and trusting their keys and just going out there and playing. Like he said, there's no excuse, even with the club on his hand. He's just got to go out there and do what he does, right? He's got to go out there and play at the highest level, and there's nothing that he can do about having the club on his hand except for, just deal with it. And I'll say this, he's actually been playing a lot better, I think, so far this season. The first 2 games were a little rough, but the last 2 games, I think Trayvon's done really well. So, hopefully he's able to go out there and make a play or 2 tonight against the Packers. And the final soundbite that I want you to hear, the final guy that I want you to hear, little locker room sound is Amik Robertson. Vinny and me, actually, Vinny Bonsignor and myself actually kind of tag teamed this interview. So here it is, Vinny and me talking with Amik Robertson.
Saw you on Sunday just lining up pretty much everywhere in the defensive backfield. Have you gotten to that point where wherever you got to go out there and play?
Yep, been that same way since I've been here. That was my duty, my job to know nickel and corner. So whenever something happened, someone go down, I be the guy to step up. So that's why I say even if I don't get that many snaps, I always treat practice like I'm in the game. Even if I'm not getting a lot, I always get mental reps. If I'm out there, I get physical reps. So it's like anytime my number's called, I'm ready. And I'm able to go out there and help the team win, put myself in a position to make plays.
Is there a position that you prefer, or is it?
No, none at all. As long as I got an opportunity to be on the field, I take advantage of it.
When you're watching the game from the sidelines and you don't really know exactly where you're going to get called, how are you kind of watching the game?
Ask for the call, whatever the call is. I look at whoever at the nickel position, whoever at the corner position. I say, okay, he probably got this. Corner got this. So I just, picture myself out there and see what I'll do. So that's how, I train myself.
Is there a dramatic difference between any of those spots?
For me, no. I mean, the nickel, you probably got to know, you gotta have great eyes as far as, none of your run fits, run gaps, shifts, motions, but I think I kind of worked on my key work and all that so much, it's just becoming easy for me. Like I said, I'm in year 4, man. I'm a vet now, so I always, expect the unexpected. So when I'm out there, I can play fast.
Has time flying by fast?
Definitely. I remember I was a rookie, man. I had a guy named Demarius Randall. And of course, John Abram, they took me in when I came in as a rookie. So staying with them, and they told me that it was going to fly by. So take advantage of every opportunity to take care of my body, because the season's long, but it's short.
Yeah.
So definitely, yes. I I think my years in the league had definitely flown by.
You guys are coming off a second half where you pitched a shutout. Do you feel like that's something to build on? There's some momentum there?
I think we just, that's always a good thing, man, but we just got to keep on going, man, and defense continue striding, offense continue striding, special teams continue striding, because, at the end of the day, this is a game of inches, and we want to be that team to try to do everything right, to help, come out with dubs.
Where does that mentality come from where you said that I've got to stay ready, I got to be ready no matter what happens when my number's called, I got to be out there? Where did you get that mindset to be able to stay sharp like that?
I mean, just, playing football since I was 5, of course, becoming I was a guy when I was, younger, but coming into the league, man, this is the best of the best guys.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the NFL is, I don't want to get off topic, but the NFL is not for long, so you have to take advantage of every opportunity that you get if you're a starter, backup guy. So whenever your number's called, you be ready.
All offseason, all training camp, all preseason, the emphasis was get the ball, and you guys got one on Sunday. Can that be something you build on, and do they come in bunches as well?
Definitely, it's definitely contagious. That's that. I've been learning that since high school. One person make a play, someone next about to make a play, or they gonna double back and make a play on the ball. Stuff like that, getting the ball, it becomes contagious. Hopefully I'll be the one to get the.
Is that just an instinctual type thing as well, just to get that ball?
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's how I got here.
Yeah.
By always being around the ball, so I try to emphasize that. Always run into the ball. Always trying to be around it. Because my opinion, I think I do special things when I'm around the ball. Mm-hmm. So that's why I kind of try to get better each and every day, trying to help the game slow down and put myself in a position to always be around the ball.
Every time you mention football, you get a smile on your face. Yeah. What does this game mean to you?
Man, I love the game. Man, I always told them, if I could play for free, I will.
Yeah. So, don't tell them that, though.
Nah, I ain't tell them that, but yeah, I love football, man. Since I was 5, I think it's my happy place. Sometimes it don't always go your way, but you gotta enjoy it. You gotta enjoy it while you can.
What does it mean to you? I see you sometimes on social media, and it feels like people doubt you, and you say, "That's that energy you need." What goes through your mind when you see that or hear that?
I made it this far, not only proving it to other people, but proving it to myself.
Yeah.
So I kind of harp myself on that. Like,
right.
Of course, you're gonna have doubt. I like it.
Yeah.
That's why I see it, but I just don't respond to it. So each and every day, of course, I prove it to myself first. Mm-hmm. But I love proving it to them. Just to show that I belong here.
Right. What does it mean? Monday Night Football, last game of the week.
It's a blessing to be out there, man. Being a part of this organization, being able to go out there, put on for my team. Put on for our families. Most importantly, man, we got to come out with the dub. And try to stack these dubs.
Right. Appreciate you.
Yep.
So there's Amik, a guy that has been doubted. I've doubted him many times. Hell, I've told him that I've doubted him before, right? I mean, we get a good laugh at it, but the dude loves football. Every time he mentioned the word football, you get a big smile on his face. You could probably hear the smile on his face just from listening to what he had to say. I mean, he loves ball. He loves every opportunity he has to be out there. And with Nate Hobbs out and with Marcus Epps looking like he may not go, he's questionable with that knee injury, you might see more of Amik Robertson. You saw a little bit of him last week, and he made some plays. The guy, the one thing about it is I know if he gets his hands on the ball, he has an opportunity to take it to the house. He's really good at that. That's one of the reasons why the Raiders drafted him, is because he's a ball hawk. In college, he was a ball hawk. Would love to see that translate more into the NFL. He's gotten his hands on a couple balls, but not enough. So hopefully he's able to, maybe Trayvon Merrick and Amik could both come up with interceptions tonight or create some turnovers, and then I'll be able to talk about it in the Raiders locker room following. So that's all I got for today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you're now fully prepared and ready for Monday Night Football action. Again, prime time, right? The Packers, Raiders, Allegiant Stadium. Excited about that. If you're in or around town, I'll be at the Oyo, the Underground Lounge, today from noon to 3. Getting you ready for this game, and then I'll head over to Allegiant Stadium. So if you're around and you want to stop by the Oyo, stop by the Oyo. If you're going to the game, come out to the Torch, right? I'll be at the Torch probably around 4 for a little while and heading up to the press box after that, but would love to meet you, love to say what's up, and talk a little Raider football before the game. So until tomorrow, Raider Nation, hopefully it's a Victory Tuesday that we're talking about. Hopefully I'm handing out game balls, and hopefully, more importantly, the Raiders improve to 2-3 on the young season. But either way, we'll be back, no doubt about it, on YouTube. We'll be back wherever you get your podcast from. We'll be doing it just like we do it each and every day. So until then, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.